in Iran. The question is, what happens if there's another conflict at the same time? China or anything else, right? China is always mentioned. But Brandon Daniels is CEO at the supply chain technology company Exiger, does some work for the federal government. It's actually a perfect guest on a topic like this. So again, we talk about the arsenal. Those are the numbers running low, Brandon. Not saying they're going to run low in this war. We're talking more, as I said, about the future concerns. What should we know? What goes into this?
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Connell. So it's the right thing to raise as a risk. There are significant supply chains that are necessary in order to restock these munitions. And every day, our munitions supply chains are eroding in front of our eyes. All of them have to be essentially built in the United States. And the United States has not invested in our munitions capabilities in 3 decades. Administration's changing that, but it's still in a bad spot.
So the timeline, like I have this other screen on the tablet here about missile stockpiles. A lot of this I talked about when I was setting this up. But in this last column, delivery timeline in months, 47, 48, 46, the one, as we mentioned, 64. How do we make that shorter? I mean, that's what we're working on?
I think there are multiple ways to make it shorter. The first is actually creating stockpiles, creating creating opportunities for people to get access to the raw materials, which are right now constrained because of global supply chains. The second thing is you need to get the suppliers that have hot production lines to ramp up capacity, ramp up the volume that they're able to produce, which has been hard to do in the military because in the federal government, you don't have multi-year procurements. And so people don't want to start ramping production lines with the fear that they'll ramp back down and they've taken on all that cost. So you have to be able to plan those long term. And then the last thing is you need to actually bring these suppliers together and make sure that there's efficient systems. I mean, one of the things that China does very well is they verticalize these supply chains and make it so that everybody's close to each other, everybody's working together.
Right.
That's something that the federal government is working on.
The other thing I'm really interested in, Brandon, is cost. I'll just go back to the same exact screen and just highlight a different column here. Everything's up in the millions, some way up in the millions, where one of the storylines, of course, of this conflict has been Iran with its drones and, 20,000 or 50,000 or whatever it might be versus our weapons in the millions. Are we doing anything on cost? And if so, how would that work through the chain?
Yeah, so the first thing is we are making it cheaper to make these munitions.
Okay.
So through 3D printing, through automation, through robotics, through targeted investments with companies like Hadrian and Divergent, we're making it easier to make these systems and to make the parts that you utilize to sustain these systems. So that's number one. The second thing is, and it's been published, pretty widely, that Feinberg has set up the Bond and the EDU group. They are looking at how to make it so that there are new technologies that are essentially attritable. They're lower cost. You can launch thousands of them, hundreds of thousands of them, millions of them without an issue. And that's mostly in the drone space. They have 2 programs that are running right now. One, to engage the commercial off-the-shelf software companies, startups, to actually give them huge amounts of money to sort of ramp to 100,000 drones a year. And they also have a secondary plan where the Army themselves are going to be creating these kinds of technologies.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. So again, this is not, sometimes you don't talk about something because it's not a problem today, but you have to talk about it because it takes a while if it's going to be a problem in the future. So thank you to Brandon Daniels. We'll stay on this story. Meantime,